Okay, so this video will cover the next two lessons, which are all around the Compass tool. And this is the final tool that we give students before they close out the semester with their final project. So they did spectrum of social change, systems mapping, iceberg, and compass for a total of 4 different tools that they're exposed to. And so this is the last 4 before we have them working on the final semester summative. And so the first lesson can begin however works best for you and your class. Have them write it in the chat, have them come off mute and share. But the warm up, is just having them think about this concept and this word sustainability. I might have kids just write something in the chat. It's really up to you. And then you're going to give them this definition. And that will lead you into introducing the objective for the day. After sharing this definition with them, maybe ask a few folks what stands out about the definition or how this compares to what they had written down. And then the objective is we're going to understand the compass as a tool for social change and sustainability. I should say sustainability. And practice with real world application. So tell them this is our objective, is understand a new tool, especially for the purposes of sustainability over the next couple of days. So have them immediately go ahead and just get out their notes. This is a lesson plan that actually starts with notes, which is rare for us because normally we do activities and then add notes. Our process is normally a bit reversed, but anyways, you're going to give them these notes. The compass theory argues that there are 4 components, or that a sustainable system is composed of 4 balanced branches. So basically, sustainability only occurs when there's balance between nature, economy, society, and well-being. And then you walk them through what are those 4 things: nature, economy, society, well-being. You might give your own examples, take a system of your own. Like you might use, I think when I teach this, I sometimes just use the Columbus School. And so I talk about examples of nature and what makes our system work, economy, society, well-being. You could use, you could use any examples you want, of course, but just giving them essentially these notes that Compass argues sustainability occurs when the 4 systems are balanced, 4 components are balanced. You teach them the 4 components, and then these are your final notes. That the purpose of this tool for us is going to be to find areas of weakness so that we can develop a social change. So one of the reasons we use this tool is that it allows us to look for areas that are weaker or that are creating unbalance. So that could be a place to look for where social change could happen. It also helps us examine the sustainability of social change ideas, right? And a social change idea, the Compass tool can help us look, does this add to the economy, to the society, to the well-being, to have positive effects on nature? That helps us analyze and critique whether an idea is sustainable. Or the other way that we can use this tool is to evaluate unintended harm in social change ideas, to look at, okay, is there going to be some unintended harm or unintended consequence because I didn't consider economy or nature or society or well-being. So there's 3 different modalities or 3 different ways that we might use this tool in thinking about future social change. So then there's this little video, so you can play this video for students. It's a video that just kind of explains the function of Compass in another way. And so you've given them notes. Now watch the video and then say, okay, so we're going to do a little breakout room activity to help us start to process Compass. So what you're going to do is you're going to access the link in Schoology or in the chat. You can put it in Schoology or you can place it in the chat for them. And it's going to take us into this Jamboard. So you all are going to want to create a copy of your own Jamboard. So here, make a copy so you have one for each of your classes. And the Jamboard has 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has 8 of these. Okay, because that represents 4 breakout rooms. If you need more breakout rooms, you would just add 2 more. And so then that would be breakout room 5. But I only have 4 breakout rooms because I think I'll just do, groups of 4. So you'll see here breakout room 4, breakout room 4. So each breakout room is going to work on 2 parts of the Jam, or 2 of these slides in a Jamboard. One, they're going to, and I put it in the slides so you can explain it to them in the slides. And after they've had access to the Jamboard, you can then go back to the slideshow and say, you're going to have the first the first part of the Jamboard, you're going to think of an organization, a project. You could look at old projects from the ISC, from the ones that we gave you in the past. You can think about a government. You can think about an ancient government. You can look at the Society of Rome. You can think about your family. Think about any system that you consider to have been successful. And you're going to use the compass to explain their success. So you're going to argue that they were successful because of this balance. So you'll place at least 2 post-it notes in every quadrant. Here's what they did that was positive for nature, for the economy, for society, and for well-being. And so you'll use this compass theory to argue their success was because of balance of these elements. And so that's your first way of practicing use of compass. And then you'll go into the next slide, or the next part of the Jamboard. So again, each breakout room has 2 assigned to them. Breakout room 1. Notice that it's breakout room 1 and breakout room 1. So they're doing 2. Then this is breakout room 2 and breakout room 2. They also have their own 2. 3, 4. And the second part of the Jamboard, you are thinking of a system, organization, project, government, group, idea, anything that you think has failed or has had limited success. You're going to use the compass to offer an explanation of their failure. So what that means is that on your second compass analysis, one of the quadrants might be, or is going to be, either empty or have less in it, because you're going to show that you're going to use the compass to say, this is why this organization, this system, this structure did not function well. So you might put a couple of post-it notes in society, in nature, in economy, but then you'll reveal that the well-being was missing. And so that is actually the reason why this system, organization, project, whatever that you chose actually didn't fully function. So you're going to end up, unlike on this first one, where each quadrant has at least 2 post-it notes, you'll have a quadrant that's less filled out or empty to identify what was the imbalance that created that explained the lack of success for that organization, company, group, whatever you choose. And so then you'll give them, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes in breakout rooms to do that, and then come back and have them. Okay, sorry, I had to pause recording because someone was calling my phone. But so you're going to give them about, like I said, 10, maybe somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes, depending on your class. And my 2 groups are very different, so it always varies a little bit, to complete this. And then you're going to bring them back to the main room. And so what will have happened is that all 8 of these will be filled out. All 8 slides or parts of this Jamboard, because each breakout room did 2, where they're completing a Jamboard for compass as a way to see success, meaning all 4 of the quadrants are going to be filled, and then compass as a way to identify imbalance. And so one of the quadrants won't be filled because they're going to use the second one to show how compass can help us see imbalance for why things don't work or why things fail. So then you're going to bring them back to the main room and say, we're going to do a quick silent gallery crawl. You're going to have about 6 minutes to explore each other's Jamboards, to look through each other's findings. So instead of just looking at the 2 that you were working on in your breakout rooms, you're going to go explore the other 3 breakout rooms. So you'll go look at what companies they analyzed, what organizations they critiqued, what they came up with in doing this activity. And so you'll look at the other 3 breakout rooms. And then from there, you'll after they have 5 or 6 minutes, you'll say, be prepared to respond in the chat. After 6 minutes, I'm going to ask everyone to write in the chat, and this will be your exit ticket. One new thing I learned about Compass by looking at my peers' Jamboard is blank. So you might give them examples, things to look for, guys, if maybe you hadn't fully grasped what the society meant. So maybe by looking at somebody else's, you're like, oh, I got it. I learned more about what society is by seeing blank example. Or maybe one new thing you learned about Compass is I realized the importance of something. You'll give them some examples, but tell them you have 6 minutes to look at each other's Jamboards, and you're going to need to come back and be able to write in the chat a response to this statement. Okay, so again, you might want to give them an example. One thing I learned about Compass by looking at my peers' Jamboard is I hadn't thought about nature as this, but this example made me think this. And that'll be the end of that class. And so that will be the end of Compass 1 class, is just introducing them to the concept. Nothing's graded here. Just introduce them to the concept and have them play around with it. That's it, in the breakout rooms using this Jamboard that I created. So again, the Jamboard is set up of eight different pages, 2 per breakout room, because you would put your kids into 4 breakout rooms. When they come back for session 2, you will have them simply review Compass. So have them write in the chat or come off mute. All right, folks, so what do you remember about Compass? What is the theory argue? What is the purpose of the compass? What are the 4 quadrants? What do we remember? What do we know? What do we recall? Have them just kind of share out or write in the chat, and then you're going to put them straight to work on their formative. This is a formative that has been done before. So Julian, you'll be familiar with it, but it is a way for them to actually apply these 3 things that we gave them in the notes. So Compass allows us to do these 3 things. This formative has an opportunity for them to practice those 3 things. So you'll let them know when you're going to open up this document, it has 3 different quote unquote stations or 3 different ways to use the compass. You can explain each one to them in the slides if you want, or you can have them just go straight to work and give them feedback as they go. But this is Compass to identify organizational areas of growth. The big thing that always comes up in this activity is just making clear to them that in these boxes, the Compass boxes, they don't need to write complete sentences. They don't need to write paragraphs. That's just bullet points. They're writing bullet points in those boxes. Here in the conclusion box is where they're writing, is where they're going to need to write complete sentences and structured ideas. So this is where they write. So make that clear, like, folks, in each station, there's a compass. You're doing a compass process. In those boxes, you just need to be putting bullet points. You don't need to write complete sentences. Your conclusions are where you should have more structured ideas explained and why. Same thing here for station 2. You're now using Compass to evaluate if an innovation for social change is a good idea. So they watch this video, they write bullet points of what they noticed, and then they write their conclusion. Same thing for 3. Bullet points. For 3, they just have to put up the bullet points. There's no explanation that follows. The explanation is already given, that the solution, the concept of volunteerism is dangerous. It's harmful. So they're using Compass to explain why that harm is. So they don't actually have to write a conclusion. They're just coming up with bullet points. So that's their formative assignment that they're doing for Compass. And that's something that they work on the entire second class. So the second class is really just, all right, guys, hey, let's warm up. What do we remember about Compass? What is it? What are the 4 different quadrants? What do they represent? Why do we need to know them? What is this idea of balance? Then you put them in groups. They can choose their own groups. I'm going to have my students be in up to groups of 3. Groups of 3 max. You can change that, alter that, whatever works best for you in your class. I'll explain each station to them, and then I'll put them in their groups, and they'll get to work. Whatever they don't finish in class becomes homework over till the next class, or you can give them some time. But try not to give them too much time, folks, because we really need to be conscious of how much time we're going to have for the final project. We haven't had a chance to meet, and we do need to meet either over break or I mean, I can design the entire final project, but I feel like it's frustrating to do that without having space to have your guys' feedback, because then it feels like I'm just telling you what to do. If you don't mind that, then I'll just design the final project. I've been saying the last few times that we've met to think about ideas you have about combining the 2 summatives that were used last year, because we're not going to use both. We're going to try to combine into one. And so I've been working on that, and I wanted to meet to talk about that. So if we could try to think about a time where we could meet early next week, very early next week, or even, early next week, just something to think about. And if that's not something that we want to do, then I'll just design the project and tell y'all what it is. I just don't know if that makes the most sense. So let me know. These are the 2 Compass lesson plans. Lesson plan 1 starts here, and then lesson plan 2 is just really getting them to work on the formative, which is on these slides. I put it in the slides if you wanted to kind of like explain station by station what they're doing. but you just kind of put them into groups and they work on the formative.